So it sounds like you have some risk off stuff. So cool. And so we're really, guys, expecting the big panic to hit next week. So this is literally, guys, inning two of the sell off. Okay. So hold your current positions. We're going to see some freaking huge profits next week. Okay. So hold tight. I saw that Mike was telling me he sold. It's all right, Mike. We'll get it back, man. We're going to make you so much money in the long term. It's going to be hilarious. I got some texts, guys, and I got a text from a customer this morning. He's made $46,000.
Hey, I come back 4 times today.
Hey, Carlo, how's it going?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you for joining us here today. How are your TLT trades working out for you?
I didn't take him.
Oh, bummer. Okay, well, hey, it won't be the last one. We're certainly anytime we're going to get a spike, we're going to short the hell out of it.
You're shorting TLT. Okay, I got.
Oh, no. We're shorting the market. We're long TLT.
Okay.
Yeah. So real quick, guys. So we have a couple different levels of our portfolio. Okay. We have what we call our pro portfolio. Okay. And that's what guys are following us with anywhere from 75,000 up to 4 million. Okay. We have people doing our buy and hold with as little as 20,000 and up to 800,000. We have our SPY program, which we currently don't own the SPY in, but we're using options trades instead. Okay, and Jason has a new trade that's going to be published here in just a little bit. So certainly, guys, take a look at that. And let's see here, who else? Okay, and Manny, I'm so proud of you, man. $11,000 profit from his TLT trade here before he's ever given us a cent of service fee. So by far takes care of any service fee he'd ever want to do with us. so that's awesome. Let's see here, guys. Who else had TLT calls? How much did you guys make on it? I want to hear more. Mike Hogan said he did 300, but he sold the position, which he shouldn't have because we never sent out an alert to do it. But he said he learned the hard way. Let's see here. Who else, guys? Who has positions? Real quick too. I'm going to jump out of this screen. Just pull something up really quick, guys. And just one of the things I wanted to touch on for today. Okay, these are our portfolios, guys. Look, right here, we're up in the pro portfolio. We're up almost 7% for the freaking year, guys. The market's down 8%. Okay, so literally, look at the month of March, 5.8%, insane, right? Okay, literally, while everyone else is getting freaking demolished in the market, we're profitable. Okay, guys, and as you just heard from Manny and Mike, literally making hundreds to thousands of dollars during these trades. So, God forbid, none of us want what's going on in the world, but guess what, guys? We got literally zero global growth right now.
Yeah, and, really and truly, I was actually up 14K on it, bro.
Wait till next week, Manny. Wait till next week, buddy. The news flow, Manny. Once things really get gnarly with the new tests. Okay, guys. So the CDC just literally today sent out 1 million test kits. What do you think our numbers are going to look like next week? Right? In literally, we have some kid was just confirmed with coronavirus in a high school in California yesterday. This shit's going to get wild. And we were just talking. My wife and I, we were just talking. We're like, man, flights are going to be cheap, but you know what, guys? We're not going to be going to Hawaii during spring break because I'm not going to go fly during this. So, I mean, the airlines are going to continue to get crushed. Literally, guys, just everything's continuing to get crushed. Jason was on the phone with Verizon the other day trying to get a new iPhone. The lady said they were down to 2 iPhone 11s. It's nuts. Like, we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg here, guys. Hey, Manny, how's it going? Any questions from you, bud?
Gonna get killed.
Right? Exactly. Very cool. All right, guys. So any questions on why we're up, why we're making money in these down markets, why we're getting text messages from people literally on a trial making $46,000? Manny's in here making 11K and was, I guess, peaked at about 14 in the drop. And Manny, just hold it, man. Next week is when we're going to see the real fireworks. Okay. Let's see here, guys. And okay, a couple more people here. I'm going to do a little roll call real quick. So guys, feel free to unmute your microphones. Let me know where you're calling in from, and please let me know how much time you have left on your trial. Okay. So we got Bruce. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. Carlo, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Craig Chihak, I believe. Thank you for joining us here today. FR, thank you for joining us here today. George Lewis, Jeff Stone, Joseph, Livy, Manny, and thank you, Manny, for unmuting your microphone, letting us know you made $11,000 today. That was awesome. MQ17, not sure who you are, but please feel free to unmute your microphone. Let us know where you're calling in from. I got Mike Hogan calling in from Denver. I got another Mike. We have 4 mics in here, so I'm not sure who your last names are unless you type them in. But thank you for joining us here. Flurries of mics. Let's see here. Robert Earl, thank you for joining us here today. Appreciate your time. Siv, thank you for joining us here today. Saras, hey, good morning. Thank you for joining us out of Canada today. Appreciate your time to be here today. Tim, thank you very much for joining us here. All right, guys. And guys, feel free to unmute your microphones to do so. Simply scroll down to the bottom of your screen. Okay, unmute your microphone. And to do that, go into the left-hand corner here. Okay, unmute your microphone and please feel free. Hey, Carlo. Hey, Mkus. How's it going, guys? What questions?
All right.
Yeah. How high you think the TLT can go?
So we 170, 180. Let's see, what are we at here? 166. So yeah, we're getting close, guys. And so the thing is, guys, only our members are going to know when we're going to get the hell out of Dodge on TLT and then rotate into our next position. Okay. And unless you're a member, you're just never going to know. So I encourage you to get signed up, guys. Look, I guarantee you there's not very many services on the planet right now that have this mix of assets that are up over 6%, while the rest of America is down, Hey, Saras, how's it going?
We'll see. Very good with that.
All right, Saras, how was your trip?
Very good, Dean. Very good. How are you doing?
Good. Did you take any of this TLT calls, Saras?
Can you hear me?
A little bit. If you're on a mobile.
Yes, I did. Yes, I'm on a mobile. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do you have some of the TLT calls?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, did you get some of the TLT calls?
No, I did. I just told the SPY and the EM.
Okay, got it. Cool. Very cool.
Just tell me what's my next step now.
So just hold tight. So you're 50% cash, Saras, until the blood is on the streets officially, and then we'll tell you when to jump back in emerging markets and U.S. equities. Okay.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you for that.
Hey, my pleasure, Saras.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. We'll keep in touch. Yes. Bye now.
Okay. Have a great day, Saras. Ask any questions as you have them. Okay.
Yeah. I'm on the webinar. I'll listen to you anyhow.
Okay. Awesome, buddy. Yeah. Well, thanks for checking in, Saras. We appreciate your time, bud. All right.
No problem, and thank you. Yeah.
Heck yeah, bud. All right. Let's see here. All right, guys. Any questions? Guys, I reserve this time specifically to answer any questions from our channel members.
If I like really trusted what you were freaking doing, like at the first fucking point, and I had put everything into there, I would be up over 100K. Looking at exactly what happened, because I mean, I only put fucking 2K and made fucking 11K off of this shit. If I had put fucking my 20K in or the 30K, like y'all were fucking saying, I would fucking be fucking flipping out. I'd call my job and just say fuck y'all real quick.
Well, hey, Manny. So thanks for letting us know. Okay, but hey, so we're only recommending 3% position for this. Okay, so this setup's pretty conservative, and that's awesome that you did well. Okay, but we certainly want to make sure that you don't go too heavy on this. So I obviously, Manny, I know you're young. I know you're a risk taker, right? That's obvious. And just if you can, but if you can, watch the language a little bit, okay? Because we are going to post this to YouTube. So we'll literally have
my fault. I got you.
You're good, man. You're good. But I love the excitement coming from you, Manny. That's so cool. All right, let's see here. Mark Stoley checking in. Mark, how much are you up today, bud?
I'm up 83,000 today.
Yeah, baby.
And that's on top of 39 yesterday.
Woohoo!
35 yesterday.
Awesome, Mark. I love it, bud. Yeah, it was, I keep getting text messages from clients saying, hey, should we duck out of TLT? Hey, should we duck out of TLT? No. Let's wait till we get the sheer panic, guys. The sheer panic is what we're waiting for, and we are not there yet. So awesome job, Mark. I love to hear it, buddy. So proud of you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, thank you. Because I would not be in this positions if it weren't for you. I'd probably be losing money today.
I love it, Mark. Well, hey, bud, I told you we're gonna take the thrill out of the market for you, but maybe I was wrong a little bit because
Hey,
we're starting to get some excitement to the upside.
yeah. Hey, I'm thrilled with this in a good way.
Awesome, Mark. And Mark, what do you know your official start date off the top of my head? I know I can look it up, but I can't do that while I'm on this computer.
I really started putting money into the program on the last week of December. I'm thinking it was December 28th. Let me look.
Okay.
December. Wait, December. There's December. No, that's November. December 30th really was. That's a Monday. That was really when I started moving, and that's when I started going in and opening the majority of my funds on this account. On this strategy.
Sure. Awesome. And so now you've profited $83,000 in about 3 months.
No, that's today.
Oh, that's today.
And 35 yesterday.
So what's the total P&L then?
I haven't put it together. It's more than that.
I love it.
It was only a little bit more. I hadn't really made a ton on it, but yeah, I mean, today and yesterday were really just the big home run days, and I did go a little heavier on the recommendation.
Okay, sure.
You had your level of recommendation, and I boosted it a little bit because I was willing to take a little bit of extra risk, but I didn't go overboard on the extra TLT puts that I bought. I just bumped it up a few.
Okay, awesome, Mark. Well, how cool. So $83,000 today, guys. Today.
Yeah, it was 100 this morning, and then the market backed off. My jaw was dropping.
Wait till next week, Mark. Wait till these tests start getting administrated, and we actually have some real data. So yeah, guys. So Jason and I were talking this morning. Look, guys, we think we're in inning 2 of the sell-off. So there's a lot more to be made. So cool, Mark. God, that's music to my ears, guys. $83,000 in a single day with the system. And more, how's it going?
It's fluctuating up and down as the market moves up and down, but
of course,
that's where it is now.
Awesome, Mark. Well, hey, bud, awesome. Can't wait to meet you when we do the boot camp, the in-person boot camp in Albuquerque too. That'll be fun. We'll have to have a beer or a glass of wine together. Okay.
Yeah, keep me. Make sure I know where that is and all that, and most likely, I'm almost certain I'll be there.
Okay, buddy. Sounds good. Hey, Chip, how's it going?
Good.
All right. So, Chip, what are you up today?
Oh, well, I haven't done the trade yet, so I'm waiting for all this ingenious activity you have to share with me.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So, do you have shares of TLT and GDX though?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, TLT. Yes, I do.
Okay. What are you up on the TLT since you got it?
Well, I have 1,600 shares, so whatever it's at right now.
Okay. So let's see here. You bought, was it Monday that you got in?
Yes.
Okay.
Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday, I believe.
Okay. So let's just see here. So 1,600.
Then put you up 11,000 right now for today.
Yep.
Just today.
Go Tar Heels. Let's keep doing that kind of thing.
So Chip, poor Chip had been through the ringer here with all the advisories that are, super risky. Timothy Sykes, the Jason Bonds, all these people that are just trying to wreck your portfolio with, insanely risky things. Talk to Chip about how you absolutely want to own TLT and GDX this week. And yeah, Chip, that took care of your membership costs for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, I'll be glad to do it as long as we do it like this.
Heck yeah. Awesome, Chip. And Chip, you were a dentist, right? And you're in Tennessee, if I remember correctly?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Awesome.
Charlotte.
Very cool, Chip. Awesome. So yeah, Jason does have a new secret trade alert that will be coming out here in just a minute, guys. Definitely interesting time. So, and just real quick, guys, I have the portfolios up. Okay. So while the rest of America is down, okay, literally guys, oh yeah. So Chip, that's today. So you're up $11,000 today on your 1,600 shares.
Thank you.
Or 11,000. I'm sorry.
And I also have a call option on that too.
Yep.
I think 6 contracts, so that's up a little ways too.
If you can, Chip, see if you can open up your brokerage account and take a look and see how much you're up real quick. If you can. I know you're a busy guy, and I know you're kind of in and out of patients and everything all day, but we'll see how long you continue to be a dentist with this system. Let's see here, guys. All right. Any other questions, guys? Gosh, we have a massive crowd in already. Cool. We have more than 30 people in before we've even started, so that is certainly a record. Guys, jump in, ask questions. Okay, I see the chat box is going crazy. Let's see here.
I'm a little less than 4,000 on the call.
Okay, nice. And what is the total share appreciation?
Oh gosh, let's see.
So you should be about up 15,000 for the day.
TLT 14,288. so a little over 18,000 for the day with those two combined.
Yeah, Chip. There you go, baby. I love it. And you're not doing the risky stuff. Look, you're in the asset class you want to be in the current environment.
Right.
Awesome, Chip. Great to hear, bud. All right, guys. Who else? Who else is Ernest? Let's hear from you, bud. What's your P&L looking like today? Donald Dickey, let's hear from you. What is your P&L looking like today? Go ahead and unmute your microphones, guys. Chip is up 18,000. Mark Stolley is up 83,000 for the day. Manny was hopping in here saying he was up 11,000 on his trial. Got a text from a customer this morning saying he was up $46,000 during his trial period. Hey, Ernest, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, Ernest. What does your P&L look like for today?
Well, I'm up 35,000.
Beautiful. I love it. Hey, Terry, I see your microphone's unmuted. How much are you up today?
I looked at it early this morning. I have a small account, but I think I'm up like 10, 12,000.
Nice. Awesome.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
So I've got some more funds that I'm going that I need to allocate. Should I go to gold? What should I put it in right now?
So Terry, are you on a trial? Or are you? I don't believe I. What's your last name? I don't know.
Grapevine. Grapevine.
Oh,
no,
hey,
I'm on. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure you're a customer.
Yeah.
So you have more cash. So you just want to make sure you have 40% in bonds, okay, and 10% in the metal stream.
So just the money that I'm adding, just divide it up that way.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay. And
Yep.
I've got some more coming, but it's going to be I'm going to deposit today, and it seems to take a couple weeks for it clears. So
sure,
I'll be adding to it.
Awesome,
All
Terry.
right.
Love it, bud.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for unmuting and let us know, Terry. That's so cool. Hey, Donald, I see your microphone's unmuted. What are you up today, bud?
Yeah, Ben, I'm up a little over 16.5.
All right, buddy. Love it.
Not a bad Friday.
I've had worse.
So have I. Loving it.
Awesome, Don. Very cool. How much total capital do you have behind the system now?
Let's see. Ben, I've got about nearly a little over 500,000.
Awesome, Donald. Beautiful, buddy. I love it. So
and I'm ready, and I'm ready to put some more in.
Nice. Awesome, Donald. Well, just make sure you stay with that beautiful balance, okay? So
yeah, 40, 10.
Yep, 40-10 for now. Exactly.
Yep. I can handle it. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Yeah, and once the blood is officially on the streets, guys, it's flooded in blood. That is when we'll get you guys back into equities. But now is not the time. Okay. Hey, Chip, do you have a question, bud?
Me?
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't sure if you were trying to say something. Okay, cool.
Well, I do have a question.
Sure.
if we're making these increases, should we take the amount of the increase and proportionally add that up or purchase more TLT and gold?
So you just want to keep that beautiful balance. Okay. So however you're going to scale in, just make sure it's 40% bonds and 10% into our metals trade. Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. So yeah, for now, and then guys, we'll tell you when to get back in, but we got a lot more pain to come. Okay.
Be dropping the trade alert in the chat box pretty quick.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Hey, Tony, I see your question. Your hand is raised. What question do you have for us, Tony?
Yeah. What do you think is the negative effect on the GDX? Why is it pulled back a little bit?
I was looking at that this morning. I don't know, honestly. Let me see if spot must be down too. I would say, Tony, margin calls coming out of hedge funds for sure, because spot's down a little bit too. So yeah, we got margin calls coming out of hedge funds. So that's pushed. And what they do is they'll hedge, guys. They'll hedge their long positions with GDX and GLD. So when they get short called out, they have to puke out those assets before the broker takes all their money away, basically. And yeah, some of those guys, Tony, are probably handing in keys to their houses, notes to their cars, notes to their houses today because they just blew up on the long side. So yeah, short-term headwind, long-term, we're good to go, guys. And put GDX on a 10-year chart, guys. We got a lot of upsides to work on that. So, okay.
Trade alert is in.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Very nice, guys. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mute my microphone really quick, guys. I'm going to let everyone place the trade, and I'll be right back, okay? And it is in the chat box.
Hey, Dean, I'll be in 1 minute. I'm just getting set up here, but I threw the trade alert on my screen too.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, and just give me 1 second. I'm going to replicate. I'll be right back. Okay, and Jason has the alert up on the screen here. Very cool, Jason. So just go ahead and read away up there, guys, and call options on TLT since we put them on, up 311%, 247%, and 246%. Okay, and we'll issue exit alerts next week, and they will only be issued to our client base. So if you're not a client, make sure to change that process today. And if you followed our trade alerts, you should have easily paid for probably years of the subscription costs. Okay, and just Jason, real quick, Mark Stoley's up 83,000 today. Donald Dickey's up 16,000. Manny, that's on a trial, actually made 11,000. Let's see here. Chase Chip actually that just joined us on I think it was either Monday or Tuesday. He's already up 18,000. So I think just cumulative gains just from what people said, it was as well in excess of 6 figures so far. So pretty cool. All right, guys. So the new call is so per $30,000 you have, guys, you're going to buy to open April 9th of 158 GLD call option. Okay. And so that's stick with the ratios, guys, only per $30,000 so if you're on a trial, every $30,000 you have, okay, you're going to have one contract on that call option that you have in your account. Okay. Now, if you're following the program, this is just going to be per 30,000 in that 40%. Okay. Within that 40% asset class that we used to own the SPY in. Okay. So at the current time, per per $30,000 you have in that allocation. So let's say, guys, if it's $300,000, okay, you would simply be doing 10 contracts of the GLD. Okay. Now, if it was $30,000, you have a single contract. Real simple. Okay. But for trial members, certainly, guys, per $30,000 you have total in your account, put on one of the 158 GLD call options for April 9th. Okay, and I see Retree's in here. And Retree, I'm not sure what's your full name. If you could type that in for me, it'd be greatly appreciated. And guys, if you can, when you join the webinars, please type in your full name. It's so helpful for us. We'll probably have, I don't know, 50 to 100 people in here today. So it's just really helpful if you do type in your full name. But Retree said he's up 9K on the TLT calls. So awesome, guys. So I'm sure our general customer base did well in excess of a couple $1 million of profit today. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All while the rest of America is freaking the F out and wondering if they should start buying here, or, whatever the case is. But we are certainly not buying equities here. We are putting on more, more risk to GLD, boosting up from here. And Tony, I know you're a gold bug. I know Ron Steger is a huge gold bug. He texted me this morning showing me he's up 46,000. That was before the option market even opened. So he's probably up 60,000 on his trial. He'll love that GLD call here. So awesome, guys. Any questions on, and so guys, step 2 is do not sell your TLT call options, guys. We're inning 2 in the sell-off. Okay, literally inning 2, guys. We're just getting started.
But why are we dealing with the GLD now versus GDX?
So you still have your GDX, okay?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm in now.
Hey, Jason.
So yeah, we've talked trash about GLD for the past 2 months. That's why we're doing call options, Mark, and not holding the underlying. But spot goes up first, gold miners go up second. That's bottom line here. So let's see. How about, let's do this. Ryan, do you want to go ahead and mute the crowd so I can give my full run through on the rhyme and reason on the trade, and then we'll go for Q&A?
Move your mic a little closer.
Yeah, let me does that sound better? Should we wait a few minutes? Do you think everybody's already in?
Yeah,
a little early.
Yeah, let's wait till noon on the dot, Jason.
Okay, I'll come in a few more minutes. Let me just get a little more set up here, and I'll be right back. But yeah, Mark, sure, I don't trust HSBC as far as I could throw them, but I do like this play a lot in terms of trying to play the quick move up and follow where the money's going to rush into next. So I think bonds will get priced to perfection, then spot gold, then gold miners come roaring in right after. And in terms of what I'd be willing to hold with real capital, I'd much rather own these American Canadian companies in the gold miners, even if it means having to sit on our hands a little bit and then use the option market with far less risk to play the run up in spot gold. So that's just the bottom line. I'll be right back, guys.
Very nice, Jason. Okay, and I saw Tom Hendricks just posted he's up $10,000 on TLT. Awesome. Awesome, Tom. Proud of you. Hey, Mets, any questions from you? Hey, Perry, any questions from you? Perry, what are you up today?
I'm up about 21,000 today.
Haha, love it, Perry.
Pretty excited.
Beats the hell out of working, huh?
Well, absolutely.
Nice. And Perry, when did you start with us? What was your official start date? Do you know off the top of your head?
The end of January.
Okay.
So just about just over a month.
Cool. What are you up total on your P&L? And how much do you have in the markets now with us?
I'm up right now. This morning when I checked it, it was about 30,000.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's about 10%. I started off with 300,000, so we're at 10%.
I love it. Oh, Yep. While all of your neighbors, Perry, and probably unfortunately some of your friends and family are getting decimated in the market crash.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting to see how the TLT's performed.
Awesome. Very cool, Perry. All right, guys. So I think that puts us over, at least people that unmuted their microphones and said, puts us over $250,000 in profits that have just been announced in the webinar. Uh, so pretty cool. And I'm sure across our entire customer base. Hey, Oscar, how's it going?
Hey, Dean, how are you?
I can't complain, Oscar. How about yourself, bud?
All righty. Question. The trade alert. The 30K is what you would have applied to the SPY.
Correct. Exactly.
You take your account balance times 40%, then divided by 30K.
Bingo. You got it.
Got it.
Yep. What are you up, Oscar, for the day?
Oh boy. I offered to buy a plane flight out to Albuquerque to give Jason a big hug.
Beautiful. Did you crack 6 figures for the day on the upside?
No, not quite that high, but close.
Nice. Very nice.
It's getting up there.
I love it, Oscar. Congratulations and great job.
It is quite astounding what a great job he does in analyzing this, and you know, I've been over a year, I think, or approaching close to a year. Maybe not that long, but the fact is that this proves out everything that I thought about the program.
Beautiful, Oscar. Well, hey, bud. Well, we look forward to working with you for decades to come, bud.
Dean, I need you to give me a call.
Okay.
When you get a chance. I know you're very busy, but I want you to give me a call.
Okay. Sounds good, Oscar. We'll do. All right. Thank you, Oscar. And thank you for the update there. So
Hey, I've got a question for Oscar. I mean, I'm sure that Jason wants to go over this a little bit later, but I'm just wondering if patient traffic is picked up in Florida hospitals. My nephew works at Ben Taub in Houston, which is the trauma hospital, and their traffic is definitely picking up. They're getting a lot of people in their waiting room, in their ER.
We have not seen a swelling of our ERs. However, I will say that I guess the antennas are up and everyone's getting trained accordingly. And the CDC has been issuing alerts as to what we should be doing if presented with the particular cases. And we're not getting test kits until we identify the patient. So in other words, someone from the CDC will be here if we identify someone with all the symptoms and the travel and all that fun stuff, or having come in contact with someone.
Okay.
But up
All
until
right, I'm back.
Across the region, basically from West Palm to Miami, and I talked to my counterparts over at the other health systems. Nothing has come, or we're not seeing any strange volume pickups, or things that would lead you to believe that we may have something.
Go ahead.
The public is not panicking by any stretch of the imagination as far as showing up to ERs. Now, are they going out and buying masks and all that stuff? Yeah, you can't find anything on the shelves anymore. So it's concerning, but there hasn't been a reaction. But keep in mind, South Florida is used to hurricane preparedness, and people don't tend to panic a whole lot anymore. They've been through this exercise a few times.
I guess the Houston news channel is a little better at panicking the people because cars.
Sensationalism sells, and down here you have a mostly Latin population, and they don't seem to go crazy with these things. They immediately call their physician. Most of the physicians are calming everyone down.
Okay, guys, I am ready. Ryan, let's go ahead and mute the crowd. I will give my analysis on the trade and then we'll open up for Q&A. Okay, everybody, welcome to our March 6th trade alert. Today we are still holding back on purchasing the SPY ETF. As Oscar just outlined, the big panic is not yet here. So that's why we continue to hold the TLT call options, which are up 311, 247, 246%. Now, in my program, I have my hands tied behind my back. I will only touch the portfolio Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern. If you do see a limit down later today in the stock market, you might consider selling perhaps your 320 TLT, and that could push it up significantly higher. But in general, I anticipate selling these one by one starting late next week, just for timing and expectations. Also, I would throw out that if I were a central bank trying to prevent panic, I would be selling bonds and gold, purchasing equities, trying to calm the markets. So we did see that this week, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them try their best to do that next week. So if you see a upswing in the stock market, I do anticipate that's highly likely. Even just the people who've sold put options covering their position will be forced into buying stocks. But then the big question is, they hold or they exit that position. The underlying cause that is driving the market action is not going to stop anytime soon, and I do fear it will get far worse. Now, this is the program that trades Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which I refer to as the basic program. So it's designated to focus on the SPY ETF, which was really the birth of this program, was to take advantage of the S&P 500 and the 3 options that it has every week. There's no other ETF that has that. So right now, per $30,000 you have allocated to follow our equity position on the SPY ETF, you are currently in cash on standby for the buy signal. In the meanwhile, we've been making quite a substantial profit that's open, not closed currently, with a handful of option trades. So to reiterate, I would not jump into these trades now. You're already behind. And also notice I didn't buy a new TLT call option today. Not only is the price tag on TLT call options outrageous today, I do suspect that we will have a little bit of a pullback early next week to save markets and a new opportunity to buy some more TLT calls. The better deal today and the next big move I see coming is a push up in spot gold. So for those of you following the program, it's going to be critical that you get our sell alert for when to pull off these TLT call options, as it's not a normal ETF. This is not a company and it cannot go to infinity. It's an interest rate play. And so in the next 2 weeks, I'd expect the Fed to cut rates further. And this is going to expedite how quickly we do hit a potential top in the TLT. So timing will be everything on how to play the bond market. Also, I've decided to only give out any type of conspiracy theory as to what the heck is really going on for our pro membership on Thursdays. So a lot of people coming in. It's a lot of things you have to question about what's going on, what's the media telling you, does it really add up? And my ability to realize what they're reporting does not add up is how I was able to warn investors about this crash for quite some time. I mean, way back in January, and we've done a great job at protecting investors' capital, predicting this move, and then making trades that risk very little, understanding that the central banks and governments are going to do everything in their power as long as possible to prevent a panic. And so that means you have the biggest money managers in the world trying to trade against our plays, because that's what will calm the general public. So once again, expect some volatility in these positions, but understand that the underlying cause driving these moves is quite likely to get far worse in the weeks to come and not improve. So let's for those of you who are in the pro membership, which is just about all of you, please, let's reserve any conspiracy theories for Thursday, and we can go down the dark bunny hole on Thursdays. For now, let's just focus on how to make money and protect our retirement. And so I'm going to go through the trade alert from head to toe, try to make sure there's no questions, look at some data that's without question factual, and we can go from there. Okay, so if you did see the image on Wednesday, in fact, let me just pull that up for fun. I think by Monday, we may be able to actually turn this into an animation for you. So look at the gap. So the point of this was that these two play tug of war. Equities market and the bond market play tug of war with one another. And if you understand that relationship, it's going to really put you leaps and bounds ahead of your average retail investor. So right now, you can see the stock market got way ahead of the bond market, and that just doesn't tend to last for very long. So just from that relationship alone, that was a heads up that there is potentially risk ahead in the stock market. So this is where we were at on Wednesday as a percent change relative of the SPY in the green and red, and the TLT down below in the whatever color that is, orange. Okay, skip forward to today. Wow, what does 48 hours do? So you can see that gap closing. My expectation is those will cross, and that's where we might get a potential opportunity on the SPY. And I don't think they'll just cross. I think they're going to cross and gap in the opposite way for a considerable amount of time. So, so that's one. Let's look at the trade alert. Headline is stay in cash, hold all TLT calls. Now the caveat is, again, I am not going to touch this portfolio except noon Eastern, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Is that an advantage? No, not for me. But is that an advantage for my members so that they can all get the same trade alerts at the same time? Yes. So I will not change the format of how we place this trade alerts, and that ensures that all of our clients get the same results. So if you see a limit down on the SPY today, which is a significant move. I don't think I've seen this since the flash crash. I think that was in 2012. But I do believe we're at a high risk of a flash crash, a limit down, and markets get frozen. That might be a good idea to at least sell your shortest duration 320. Okay, so if you just feel like you made so much money today and you just don't want to hold on to all of your calls and you do see a nice sell-off today, I wouldn't blame you if you sold that one. As far as these other two, my recommendation is hold it, because I do believe the underlying root problem is going to get far worse in the coming weeks. Now, again, I want to reiterate, the central banks do not want the public to panic. The government does not want the public to panic. That would make everything worse. So what they have access to is the ability to sell both bonds and gold, which we're currently betting up on. So you're going to have to understand what's really going on, what's the root cause of this, and follow the system down to the T. So that's my advice on your TLT call options. Okay, so step 3, and also don't jump into those previous trades. You missed the boat. Okay, so I will be excited to put on some new TLT trades next week if we do get a big upswing in the SPY. So keep tuned for that. And that's really my best advice for that. Now, if you've got bills to pay and you want to lock in some gains, then sure, I would look at selling this one and maybe this one. You still have the April 3rd. Okay, so if you do have bills you need to pay and you do want to lock in some profits, I would at least hold on to your 4-3 at the minimum and consider, if anything, selling one of these two options. And to reiterate one last time, if you miss the trade, no, you should not put the trade on right now. Okay, step 3, per 30,000 cash following our SPY system. And again, if you're in our pro membership, I'm not talking about your TLT position, and I'm not talking about your GDX position. I'm talking about the capital you have set aside in cash to follow the SPY trade alert. So it's about 30,000 per block of 100 shares. That's what we're relating this to. So we're issuing the buy to open the April 9th 158 GLD call. Now, again, what are the central banks going to do to keep people calm? Well, what can they do? Many of them cannot purchase or sell stocks. Bank of Japan is one. A lot of the smaller central banks can do whatever they like. Our central bank can sell bonds, so they can certainly apply pressure to the TLT. Enough pressure? Not if we get a big scare. Okay, so that's one. Two, all these central banks own gold. So if they did need to put pressure on the gold market to try to punish investors for playing the markets the way we are, they can. And I expect they will. The problem is the US stock market's worth $32 trillion. So if you get just 1 to 2% of the public to panic at one time, we're talking about $600 billion of sell orders hitting the market at once. Okay, they're not growing their balance sheets fast enough to be able to absorb that kind of a sell. So that's why, even though they have the printing presses, they've got tens of billions of dollars that they can play with, just a small panic of 1 to 2% of the market selling at the same time is devastating to the stock market. That's why it's so dangerous when you understand just how large the market cap is in the US stock market. Okay, so how are we performing? Well, I've been tracking this coronavirus since there was 30 cases in China. And the reason why was my whole thesis for 2020 was actually the exact opposite. I thought we're going to have rainbows and ponies, that we had a trade deal with China. This meant emerging markets, which had a 15 PE multiple relative to 18.6 on the SPY, should, at least at a minimum, keep up with US equities. I actually thought they would outperform. On top of that, we got a better than expected trade deal. Not just 50 billion in ag purchases, they came in with 200 billion. What the heck? That didn't make sense. Reading between the lines, it appeared there was a line in the trade doc that says, we'll purchase bad debt. People correlated that to mean we're going to finance their Belt and Road Initiative. So the US banking system was supposedly going to push $1 trillion a year into China and have interest they could collect for decades to come on this massive infrastructure project they had planned. So the bottom line was emerging markets and the SPY should have been going up together this year. And at the same time, interest rates on bonds should have been rising. TLT should have been crashing. That was my entire outlook. And then suddenly, with no cause, the Chinese stock market began to sell off right before their big holiday. And that's when my curiosity went crazy. And I've been tracking what's going on for a better part of 10 hours a day at a minimum since we had 30 cases in China. So I'm not going to go beyond that, but that is the underlying cause. And my prediction is things will get far worse before they get better. So how have we performed? In our basic program, we suddenly jumped up 7.2% in March. And that's 100% from these call options on the TLT. And those were tiny amounts of capital we put into this. So about $900 risk per 30,000 delivered a 7.2% return. And we were sitting on a loss at first because I was trying to catch the central bank intervention while the volatility index wasn't so outrageously priced. So it's been a very interesting week. We've seen record jumps in the SPY to the upside, and we've seen some pretty dramatic sell-offs. Okay, our pro program is very similar to the basic program, but we load you up on bonds and gold and protect that position with options. So the Pro program trades on Thursday only. If you want to get an inside scoop on what I think is actually happening, it's going to certainly make you question your government and your media, as well as just about everything else you're hearing about what's going on. That's Thursday only. Note that we've had one losing month with our pro strategy in 15 months and counting. So if you like low volatility, you like uncorrelated, highly diversified portfolio, you want to join the pro program. So that's up slightly more, but the key here is that it's uncorrelated, it's more diversified, and it's more protected. So it's definitely a better system if you have enough capital to put behind it. Okay, let's look at the trade alert today. Here's your option chain. Again, we're looking at spot gold, GLD, to be the next big move after bonds. So I think we'll get some decent moves in the short term, but the big moves likely will come after the bond market is priced to perfection. So timing and figuring out where that top is on the long end of the treasury curve is going to be critical to getting out of the bond market at the right time. Because once again, the bond market is not like gold and it's not like the SPY. Okay. It's an interest rate play and we're getting near 0% interest rates very quickly. So figuring out when to call the top on the TLT will be very difficult and something I will provide to our members. Okay, so we're looking at the 158 strike. And when I took the screenshot, we were trading at 156.91. So it was approximately $1 above the current trading price. And we have 34 days of time premium expiring April 9th. Now, for every $30,000 you have set aside in cash to follow our SPY trade alert, not GDX. Again, this has nothing to do with your GDX position if you are a pro member. This is only related to your SPY position, which again is in cash. Okay. Now, if you had done more trades than I had recommended on the TLT, which I suspect some of our members did do, you look like a hero today. But if I was early and the SPY was still going up this week, you wouldn't be such a happy camper. So I really don't recommend trying to get more aggressive than I am. So if I tell you it's smart to buy one option contract, it's really smart to buy one option contract, not two. Okay, so I do suspect we can layer into this position all of next week. And I do suspect, once again, the potential for the central banks to do everything in their power to sell gold and bonds and try to drive more clueless retail investors back into stocks. And I suspect they will try to do this all the way to the bottom. Okay, so what would stop them from being able to rescue markets? Again, 1 to 2% of the total market cap of the S&P 500 selling at once is too much. That alone is too much for these big banks to swallow and absorb. Also, every single time we have a big drop, realize everyone who sold put options, which are the big banks, have to cover and buy the SPY. So every time they do that, you're going to see a little whipsaw up. And if they get scared that there's more downside ahead and the cost to protect their position is too expensive, which happens when the VIX is above 35. Where are we at on the VIX now? 48. So we're in this self-fulfilling prophecy where it's too expensive to buy insurance on equities. So no one's going to want to buy it who knows what they're doing. You'll see massive buying of equities when the VIX is back below 35. But before that, if you buy it, you have to do it with no protection. Otherwise, you're going to pay a fortune for downside insurance. Okay, so once again, we've got the 158 GLD call. This is not the last trade I will be placing on GLD or TLT. So be patient. Don't take more risk than I'm taking. Do the trade when it's issued. Don't try to jump back in time and grab trades that you missed the boat on. Expect high levels of volatility that can go against our positions in the coming weeks. And sit tight, because the underlying cause is what I'm tracking carefully to determine when we need to reverse our strategy. Okay, now we're looking at a picture of GLD again. Treasuries will likely get priced to perfection first with the bulk of capital in the world. Once those interest rates have no further downward move to make, everybody's going to wonder, why am I holding a treasury with such a low yield? Now, for pro members wondering when we're going to get downside protection moved up, it was just too expensive today. So look for a move to do that next week. Here's GLD. This is owned by a bank we don't trust. That's why I prefer to use call options. If they somehow are revealed to be bankrupt or corrupt or not actually have gold in their vault, well, all we've got at risk is a short-term call option. So the likelihood of that happening in the short term is low. Okay, now note, if you're a member of our pro program, this trade alert is only related to how much capital you're putting into our SPY trade alerts, which are in cash currently. It does not have anything to do with your TLT GDX ETF shares. Okay, buy and hold, no option. This is our lowest cost program for investors with less than 30,000. We're up 2.56. We've got half your cash, half your money in cash. And once again, you have 2 shares of TLT, 2 shares of GDX, 1 share of Yang, and 44 in cash, ready to buy the Yang if we issue it, and 300 ready to buy the SPY. That's per 750. So this program is by far the riskiest because you don't have put options that can protect you in very risky situations like we're starting to see develop right now. Okay, before I go to Q&A, I do want to review a few little items. Yield curve is highly inverted. This suggests that we will have further rate cuts coming up in 2 weeks. And you can see the long end of the Treasury curve does have some pressure where it can move far lower to catch up with this portion. Now, if they do cut rates dramatically lower, that'll push the front end of the yield curve lower and likely drag these two alongside it. Next thing we need to worry about would be actions the Fed's taking. This is their update from yesterday. Fed is adding to their portfolio. So they did pick up 25 billion. That's peanuts. I expect the Fed will soon be adding hundreds of billions of dollars to their balance sheet. Again, once the bond market gets perfectly priced, they face a dilemma. Do they allow the entire bond market to sell off and take a profit, causing yields to spike, making it nearly impossible for the government to pay its debts and making interest payments insane? Or do they control the yield curve and buy all the bonds that investors want to sell? My bet is they buy all the bonds investors want to sell. The balance sheet grows rapidly, and that will be very good for gold. So we're starting to see that. We're seeing rate cuts in QE at the same time. That's unusual. Repo market. This is a form of QE. We can see that the banks are stressed. They're asking for more money than is accepted. So I do expect repo and QE or balance sheet additions to expand. This is the best country to focus on, in my perspective, to see if we might have a break from the coronavirus in summer. Singapore has a temperature between 80 and 100 right now, and they just added the most cases yet overnight. So they went from 108 a couple of days ago to 130. They have a world-class healthcare system. It's warm. If they can't keep this virus under control, I don't know who can. Another important thing to track is to go to here, remove China, who I obviously don't trust. This is the logarithmic scale. So if you change it to log, that's going to show you exponential growth. If this is going up, we have a tremendous problem. So there has not been a day yet where after you remove the cases from China, that the growth has not been exponentially growing. So that does indeed tell me that there is trouble ahead. A quick review of our programs, and then I'll go into Q&A. So if you do ever click on the upgrade button in our free trial, you get sent to this page, testimonials. A lot of these guys are on the line with us, and we essentially have 4 options for clients. The buy and hold program is Monday only with the webinar and the trade alert advice for $9.97 a year. This is best for investors with less than 30,000. You'll get essentially 1 webinar a week telling you what to do. Then we have our basic program, which trades the SPY normally, except for when we have a global pandemic underway. Trades Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's what you're in right now. Sells for $2,000 a year. If you have between $30,000 and $75,000, this is really the only place we have for you to have extreme protection and do very well. If you have over $75,000, you have enough capital to follow our top program, where we put half your cash into gold and bonds, half your cash into equities. We use put options and sell call options typically to create very low volatility. And in fact, in 15 months, we've only had 1 losing month. And in that month, we only lost 1%. So I don't think you'll find a track record that has.
Jason, just real quick. So I just wanted to let you know, as I calculated everything up today, we cracked $500,000 in testimonials of profits from today.
Wow.
So just kind of wanted to throw that out there really quick as you're going over this.
And then, the last thing I want to say is we have a boot camp. How much are we at? Let's unmute Mark, Ryan. Boot camp is more about education, but it does have some bonus trades. One of which was a aggressive bet on a stock crash. I'm just curious how much, if you happen to know how much we're up on that trade, Mark.
Let's see, which one was that? That was.
Don't tell them the ticker, just the crash bet that we covered yesterday in the boot camp.
I'm trying to remember which one that was. I got a bunch of trades on.
The triple Q.
Oh, I didn't get to take that one.
Oh no!
I was out the day that you announced it. I was out and about, and I wasn't.
I
didn't catch up.
Okay,
to
how
it.
much are we up, Karen?
Well, I should have taken more of it than I did, but yeah, I'm up 53% on that one. Oh no, sorry, total 86% on that one.
Oh, okay, that one's just getting started then. Jose,
yeah, it's just.
you
But
got-
I only did it a couple days ago, so you know.
Oh yeah, you're a little bit.
He got in at a better price than us.
Heck yeah, I did.
Yes. So that one we're planning to sell in August. So.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay.
up. I'm up about 60% given the time.
I got a little patient throughout the day. I'm just gonna say.
So the bonus we do have for new people joining is that you get 30 days in our boot camp for free as a bonus. Okay, so that's a wrap. Let's
So, hey, Jason.
go ahead and go into Q&A now. Yeah, go ahead,
Jason,
Mark.
So I will say that overall, with the boot camp trading, I kind of added a little bit here and there, but not much. I'm up 15% today. That's just my daily. It's how much I'm up just today on what I've got into the portfolio builder. So that puts me up $95,000 on the day.
Not too shabby, Mark. Not too
I know
shabby.
who's buying drinks.
Right, where's the virtual tip jar at when you need it, huh?
So thank you.
You're very welcome, Mark. Did you get the homework assignment I emailed you?
Oh, let me check on that.
Yeah, I need you to do a little research for me this weekend.
Okay, will do.
Mark's been helping me on all the conspiracies here.
Oh, I will say one thing. Here's a tidbit of information. So I was speaking with a UBS professional money manager. So he manages, I don't know how many millions, lots and lots. And they are very bullish on the stock market. They have been buying on the way down. And when I said, and I'm also the a trustee in a trust, and I said, hey, I want to do some puts here. And he was like, well, that's really sophisticated. We're not recommending that, but you're free to do anything you want because, you know, you're in charge of the account. But he said that basically UBS has to follow official numbers. They can't ignore China's official numbers in the news releases. The CCP says they are going back to work. UBS has to go with that information, and that's how they form their opinions. They don't. I said, so basically you don't have the freedom that someone like Ray Dalio would have. He kind of went on and on, but basically he said, yeah, we can't really do that. We have a tried and true proven method that's won, you know, Nobel Prizes or whatever, and we follow that regardless. And then the other thing that was, this is an unsubstantiated theory, I guess, that aside from all that, is the reason why summertime decreases the virus is due to the heat and the water droplets drying faster. So I started thinking about that, and that kind of makes sense. Also, Singapore, while hot, has a very high humidity level, so their water droplets wouldn't dry as fast even though they're warm. Whereas generally most cities are not right on the coast, you know, they're kind of spread all over, and humidities are down in the summertime.
Unless you're in Florida.
Unless you're in Florida, then it's humid all the time.
That's absolutely correct. In Florida, it takes longer for the flu season to go away because of the humidity.
Okay.
Well, so Mark, it sounds like you did a little more aggressive on the TLT play. If I were in your position, I would pull some profits off.
Yeah, I did go more aggressive. I was looking at the numbers again. I did more than double what you recommended, actually.
So you look like a hero, but you know, maybe pull some profits off and then hold some into next week.
Yeah, I was gonna do that. Yep. Thanks for the advice.
You're welcome. Let's see.
Don't do that again.
Oscar's getting upset. He's
Unless you do it in my account.
Right.
Well, I felt very strongly and totally agreed with Jason, and I thought, yeah, I'm gonna go a little extra.
That's gambling.
Let's see. Jose, please go ahead.
Question, what's going on with the metals today? Silver and gold.
Okay, let's see.
They're down.
Who listened to my, how does a central bank create calm? Who listened? They're going to sell the assets that make the most sense to try to create calm. So yeah, central banks, here's my expectation, Jose. Central banks will sell bonds and sell gold and buy equities in front of an absolute catastrophe to try to keep the public calm. So that's why I keep urging you to realize there's going to be extreme market manipulation until this fiasco is over. And unfortunately, the data shows that this fiasco is not just nowhere near being over, it's getting exponentially worse by the day. Meanwhile, the Fed's increasing their balance sheet. So if the dollar gets weaker, which it's getting crushed, gold miners aren't going to be able to keep up with the demand for spot gold. So yeah, I like our portfolio's positioned very well. But yeah, market manipulation, that's it.
Jason, question.
Yes, sure.
Isn't some of the gold selling also to cover the margin calls too? Is that possible?
Well, the margin calls will be people who are, I mean, people who are trading gold are more along my lines of thinking, I would expect. So I don't see anybody getting wiped out in gold or bonds today, but in
No, but
equities,
they're going to sell their profits in order to cover, aren't they?
yeah, if you had been wiped out and you had some gold, you're selling everything. So sure.
Yeah.
But you know, who has the most gold? Come on. Central banks have 99% of all the gold.
Yeah.
Carlo, please go ahead.
Yeah, could you let me know about the Yang position? Is it? I didn't get that play. Is that position or a down position.
Are you following our buy and hold, or which program are you trying to follow? The buy and hold?
He's on a trial.
I just signed up for the trial yesterday.
Okay, Carlo, let me ask you this. How much capital do you want to put to work with our program? Because that's really critical.
I have not much really, under 10.
Okay, so then I would follow the buy and hold. The buy and hold is going to have you mostly in cash. So you're going to have three. So for every 750, so let's just say it's 7,500. Okay. I should probably put that as the example anyways. So you'd have 3,000 in cash ready by the SPY. And I love buying the SPY, especially on dips, just not when there's a complete fiasco about to unravel. Okay, so you'd have 20 shares of TLT, 40% of your cash. You'd have 20 shares of GDX. You'd have 10 shares of Yang. Yang is betting that China goes down. Not emerging markets, but China specifically. China's manipulating their markets. So this one expects some drawdown. The catalyst for this would most likely be US starts. And we saw some hints. Pompeo came on. They're starting to point the blame at China. So China, the Chinese have known about this bullshit since November. They covered it up from their own people till January 22nd. They've lied about the stats this entire time. And that's the big disconnect that's allowed me to predict what's going to happen. So my next prediction is that the blame will be pointed at China, and you'll see actions taken that financially punish China. That's what I expect. After we get done dealing with the blow that's been hit on the US. So Yang is a inverse ETF that bets China's stock market goes down.
Oh, so we betting on up. So it's 47 right now, so it should go up.
If China's stock market crashes, Yang goes up.
Yes, okay, that's what I saw. Because it says beer, so I understand. Okay.
And for that position specifically, until you see the US political system apply financial pressure, because you got to realize Yang is controlled by American markets as a proxy into Chinese products.
Wow.
So all the US political system has to do is say, no, 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 no more money to China. And that's when that thing will skyrocket. Until then, it's going to be a tough position. That's why it's only 5%. So expect some volatility in that position, especially with your catalyst being geopolitical tension rising. Right now, Trump's saying, oh, President Xi's a nice guy. He's trying to fix all this and, we got a trade deal. So I question that considerably. But again, I would cover that more on a Thursday call. But right now, China's, just factually, we know China was shut down for at least 40 days. They claim they're back to work. Although there's reports that they're just turning on the electricity. No one's actually going back to work. So you got to just calculate that even if what they're telling us is true, which I highly doubt, put this in perspective. 67,000 Americans accidentally fell to their death last year, approximately. Okay, 30,000 approximately accidentally poisoned themselves. And 2,500 Americans accidentally killed themselves trying to use a tool with the wrong arm, with their uncoordinated arm. And China wants to tell us in a period of 2 months, a grand total of 3,000 people are dead. And they shut down all of China because of that? I don't buy it. Okay, let's do Michael Seebeck, please.
Yes, sir. The buy and hold portfolio, when you say positions or 20 shares, does that mean 20 call or put options?
No options for buy and holds designed for investors with less than 30,000 in capital.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So
So
you're
no
actually
options.
buying
Just
if
the
you were
ETFs. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. ETFs. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the best setup I have for buy and hold. It just doesn't have the protection. So in our option program, trading these same assets, we have put options right below. So something crazy happens, we have very, very little risk. And that's how you get returns like this. You can't get, we're not bragging about big returns, although when you hit a crash and no one else saw it coming, you get a big return, obviously. But the point of this program is to not lose money. I'm much less concerned about trying to hit big gains. Now, everybody's doing high fives. Mark's bragging about how much money he made. Oscar's saying he's going to fly out to Albuquerque and give me a hug. That's fine and dandy, but I'm far more concerned about not losing money. So the only way to do that is to put options underneath the ETFs. So this return, you wouldn't know it, but this return's much more attractive when you understand the insurance it's had the entire time. Okay, so we pulled off this return while having extreme protection at all times. So that's a drag on our returns, and it really pays off when there's horrific moves in the market. And just to kind of illustrate that, let's look at some of the recent insurance plays in our SPY portfolio. And so while we just did a speculative trade on the TLT recently, which is up significantly, we also, this is an example where you remember that historic CNBC all Monday and Wednesday, all they could talk about is how stupid you were if you had sold. Oh man, look at all the money you're missing out. Boy, do people feel stupid today who listen to that garbage. Okay, but I was expecting that the central banks would try to calm the public. And for several weeks, I tried to catch that for our members. We didn't get it. Instead, our put options saved our ass. And so if I zoom in on this, you can see just how valuable these puts were. Now, I thought they're just going to let it go this week. I thought that there's just too much selling. They couldn't withstand it. But we picked up some tremendous profits on our puts that offset the sell-off. So at some point, I'm going to be putting our members back into the SPY with the married put, and we're going to let it run. Okay, but we got to be very careful about timing on that one. And more importantly, how much it costs for insurance. And the secret there is if the VIX is too expensive, it's a risky bet. And not many people are going to be willing to join you. Only central banks who just don't give a damn. It's not their money. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and do James Goodman next, Ryan. If you can. James, your hand is raised, but your microphone needs to be unmuted. Michael Seebeck says, when do you recommend putting on the trade? Yeah, always right when it's issued, Mike.
Okay. On James Goodman, you may want to reach out to Call Saul.
Call Saul?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen the first season of that.
It's an awesome season.
Yeah, that's too funny.
Hey, James, what's your question? Go ahead, James. Your microphone is unmuted, so just go ahead and speak freely, so we can answer your question.
I think his mic might be muted on his mic end.
Let's try Anwar for the time being until James gets his going.
I want to ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'd like to understand why you are concentrating only on SPY.
Ryan, can you, thanks. The SPY ETF.
I was just calling in to ask a question that the option trades that you make, they never give an expiration date.
So that's what the strike is known as, is your expiration.
No. The strike's the price, the expirations.
Okay, hey Jason, I'm gonna try to have you answer James through my phone here. Okay, James, go ahead and ask your question.
I don't have a question.
And the option trades like on TLT and Q.
So date's right here, bud.
Gives an expiration date to put in for the trade.
Okay, right there on the screen.
Gives a
April
strike
9th.
price, not an expiration date, like 320.
Yeah, the expirations on all the trades, James. So let's look at today's example. So right here, you can see the date right there, April 9th. And if we go up top, it says buy to open 1 April 9th, GLD call. If I go to the previous trade alert, you can see it also had the date.
Hello.
Buy to open the
Hello.
April 3rd, 150.
Hey James, are you looking? You need to be looking at your screen. Jason's giving you the directions.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying here is like they buy to open 1 403 20 157, but no expiration date.
That is the expiration date.
Yep, the 4/3 of 20. That is your expiration.
That means April 3rd, 2020.
Okay. All right, now I got it. So it's April 3rd, 20.
That was the last trade. Let's look at today's trade. I don't want you to mess up here.
Yes. So now we're going to look at today's trade. And can you see your computer screen, James?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I got it. I got it up there. The latest is the gold. Right?
Yep. And do you see Jason's highlight on the screen there?
Buy to open April 9th. That's what I didn't see. April 9th of 158 cold call.
You got it. Good job. Very good.
I got it. It's the 4.09 that I mixed.
Yeah, very good. You got it.
I got
Good
it.
job.
Okay, don't want to use too
Okay.
much time.
Hey, no, James, good question. Thank you. Okay, bud. We'll be back on the webinar, okay?
So, Edward, the
pleasure.
SP 500 SPY ETF's the single largest fund in the world. 1, 2, it has 3 option expirations per week. So it gives you extreme agility to protect your position and basically just put option below it as it travels up or down. It's the most liquid product in the world. And it's probably the single most important security, bar none, in the world. So it's the best without question. And that's the simple answer for that one.
Do you when you say you need $30,000 money to be used in calls or puts, do you hold my money or I keep my money? I just use your recommendations.
We do not manage money, so you have to do the trades yourself. We're like a sort of like the Wall Street Journal for trade alerts.
Okay. I am still not clear about how you do everything. So how could I be trained? The boot camp, I heard you talking about
It
boot
sounds
camp.
like you need to do the boot camp. Boot camp is where I whip your financial education into shape and take you from step 1 to, a lot of people join our program. They've been trading for 40 years. They're very good at it. What they really need from me is predicting moves in the market and helping them control risk. So, and strategy. So
I have lots of money in the market, but now I am caught with the down spiral, and if I sell, I lose lots of money.
you're going to lose if I'm right, you're going to lose far more. So I would get in the boot camp immediately and start following the program.
How do I do that?
Dean will call you after the webinar. Okay. We get you set up.
Okay.
And a bonus today is again, for you, I would do the pro program.
The what? The pro?
The pro, because then if you have, do you have over $100,000?
I have more than $1 million.
Okay, so yeah, you're getting killed. The amount of money you would have saved by being in our program would have paid for our product for the next century. So that's the good news.
And hey, Chip. So Chip, and I know he lost 6 figures, like heavy 6 figures, but like $250,000 in the last week or two. Chip, if you're not with a patient and you can unmute, and if you want to just freely tell Anwar how much you've made and saved this week, it'd be greatly appreciated. But Chip is also a dentist, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to respond. And Mark, what would you tell Anwar? I know your account's pretty sizable as well.
Yeah, I would tell him to follow the program, because I've been not only following it and very happy with the results, but I've also tracking it compared to what a UBS professional money manager has been doing with another account. And it has, and of course their fees are much higher and all that. And that account's about half bonds and half equities. And he's been tracking pretty close to what y'all's performance is. It varies slightly from month to month. But this month, you've blown him away with February, and now with March. It's not even close.
How much did he lose? I'm just curious.
When the SPY loses 3% in a day, that account loses 1% a day.
So they're down what, 7?
Yeah, more than that. Yeah, yeah, probably 7. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
So here's a big thing that we have going for us, guys. We're small potatoes. So we have more agility and we can take advantage of the option market. UBS, oh my gosh, not only are they larger portfolio times 10,000, everybody follows them and they're viciously attacking each other. It's cutthroat. Nobody's tracking what we're doing. And even if they did, we're so small, we barely put a dent in the liquidity in these different assets. So yeah, and where
it took me a while to understand what you are talking about. I was talking with someone on the phone, but it's still like
yeah, well, we gotta start you from the beginning.
What's that?
You gotta start from the beginning if you want to really understand how this works. Plenty of people get how the stock market works. Very few understand how the bond market works. So the very first thing you're going to get when you join the boot camp is my big picture video. That really goes through everything you need to know to get the big picture correct. You have to understand the relationship between the US Treasury market and the US stock market. Once you get that, suddenly getting returns like this are not that. I mean, look, even with blind buy and hold, our portfolio's up when everybody else is getting crashed. That's without puts. Okay, but I'm going to tell you, if you have more than $100,000, without question, this is the program you want to follow. And, you know, we got all the people on here to talk to you.
Hey, and Chip's on, Anwar. Chip, how much money did we save you this week by getting some of your capital into TLT and GDX?
Well, I mean, just in the last 5 days, you probably saved me $40,000 at least. But you know what I would have lost in addition to what I had already lost. Maybe 50,000. It's not. I don't know exactly how to compute that, but I unloaded just like you said, and followed the formula and the percentage distribution, and you know, I'm up a little over 19,000 right now, and with calls to be exercised possibly next week, because I'm in the March 20 call on the TLT. I'm guessing it might be 25,000 before it's all said and done, just by next week.
Guys, the crash I see coming is worse than we've seen in the last 4 decades. So
I'd rather be safe now than sorry.
So Anwar, let me tell you our schedule.
Thanks,
and
Chip.
everybody else listening, this is important. So this is
Yeah.
really, let's talk about our schedule, okay? Content schedule. All right, so if you have less than $30,000, this program is gonna kick ass for you with very little work. Okay, it's gonna do very well with very little work, and it's really good if you have less than $30,000. I'm only gonna give you instructions every Monday. You get to join our live webinar with everybody else. So you get a hint at what's going on, but that's only delivered on Monday. It's very passive. There's very little to do. It's good for investors with less than 30K. If you have between $35,000 and $75,000, I would tell you, you're better off making less with more protection. This program's not necessarily designed to make more money. It can, but it's really designed to protect capital. Why is it safer? Because we're using options to buy put options below our underlying asset. Okay, so that is a drag on return. Now, if you're a foolish investor and all you care about is absolute return, you're going to think this is the best program because it can make a lot more money because there's no protection. Once you get a little wiser and you've been around the block a few times, you realize what matters is not how much money you can make. It's how safely you can generate profits with low drawdown. So how risky was your portfolio to realize that profit? Were you at complete risk? Because in times like this, when the tide comes out, there's your Buffett quote, we get to see who was swimming naked. So if you're in a big loss, you have a very poor strategy, and it has just become apparent. And I'm afraid it's going to become much more apparent in the coming months. So if you have between 30,000 and 75,000, this is your best bet. With up to 75, you could have 200 shares of the SPY protected with a put and play this program. Now, if you have more than 75,000, which tends to be just about 90% of our clients, then you're going to be better off putting half your capital into the bond market and then going through our boot camp education so you understand what the hell is going on. And we're going to take you through a century of American history, of central bank policy, and you're going to get it to understand what is going on in the financial system, how does it work, what influences the two core markets, how they constantly play tug of war with one another. So you get access to the full boot camp for 30 days when you do upgrade. And so I'd start off right away. And also we do some bonus trades in the boot camp, which are highly speculative and only in that. So it's really the breakdown of what we have to offer in terms of different services.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Nice, Anwar. Great questions. Thank you for that. And it's so neat to see our customer base actually interact with potential customers. It's so fun, guys. Let's see here. We had a couple questions here, Jason. Sue L asked, can you compute how much money someone would have made with a 311% TLT call? So sure, Sue, how much, so let's ask you, Sue, how much capital do you have total in the market? And that's what we'll do the replication on.
Okay, so if you had, Sue, just real quick, easy math, if you had 19 of those calls, you're up 13. That's probably about what Mark has, maybe a little, I guess he has double that, huh? But so this is a $1.5 million portfolio. So it had 19. And that was, that was a skittish little bet. What was the total cost to get into that? It was.
Yeah. And Murray, you put on 43 of them the other day, right?
Oh yeah. Where's Murray?
And Mark, how many, Murray's in here, Jason, and Mark, how many options did you have on?
Well, I should have had 16, but I did 40.
And how much did you make on it right now? On just the calls on that specific call?
Let me pull that up.
Now everybody's going to bash me for being so timid with the trades.
I was going to say, I'm getting jealous here.
Let's see, why is it not?
This market's absolutely insanity.
There we go.
And the other thing I'll throw out there, guys, is, you know, if you want to know what and Karen's been pretty good at figuring this stuff out, even before me as well. So we're going to save any kind of conspiracy theories for Thursday members, because we just don't know. We're all speculating. What we can prove is that what they're telling us does not add up. That's how we knew. Well, first of all, we saw China's stock market crashing when it should have been flying up. That was the first hint. That's what got me on top of this. And I've been studying it for 10 hours a day.
So just to answer your question, I put in 12 grand and I'm making 34 grand on one of those positions. That's 34 grand on top of the 12.
Nice.
I have a question. So you say, for example, you bought the option for $12,000 for the 40 options, about.
Yes.
And if it's a 300% return, so that would be 26,000.
So these prices were earlier. I think they actually gone up. The prices on these call options right here.
So just say for 300,000.
So Sue, you're the one who joined our program, made money on the SPY, and then refunded, aren't you?
No. I just have a question. I don't quite understand.
I remember you.
I want to understand.
Sure.
So just for one contract, say for example, you spent say $300 for one contract.
Yep. Well,
and if it's a 300%,
336.
that would be $900.
I bought it for $295, and right now its value is $1160. And so the difference is the profit, and I still got my original port. So that if I sell it at the moment, it's worth $46,400, and I think I paid 12.
Oh, okay, I see.
So I get my 12 back plus an additional 34.
I have another second question, Jason.
Please.
So the second TLT call, usually when you buy a call, you the price of the strike price will be higher than the current price. The second TLT call you issued was also 157 strike price, when the market price already like 158. So I
could pull up some screenshots if you want to see. So yeah, that's one thing our program's really good at doing, is proving prices. So not only do I screenshot all the prices, I take the worst price possible. Now, I don't take the mid price, I take the worst price. So let's just look at these trades so that a skeptical mind can have some rest. That's good. Yeah, it's always good to question. That's how we got these returns, Sue, is I always question the truth. That's the critical element here. That's why everybody got completely swept off their feet, because they believe everything that's fed to them. And I don't. I question everything. Okay, so here's the last three trades, okay? Screenshots, prices. And you also have access to this, guys. It's all public. It's not even protected behind the password wall. Okay, so let's just pull up track record. Okay, 228 trade alert. TLT was trading at 154.79. 245. We got 236 price. Let's see. Here's the last trading price right there. Next trade, 295. TLT's at 155. 295. Go to the next trade. 289. 289. Oh, have a great weekend, Karen. We'll see you Monday. Scott, glad you caught up on everything. Good to hear from you, buddy. Let's see, who else has a question? If you have a question, raise your hand so we can unmute you. Okay, Perry, go ahead. Ryan, you want to get Perry?
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Perry, how's it going, bud?
It's going very good. Thank you for the trades.
You're very welcome.
Good day. On these trades, do you consider these TLT trades would that be part of the pro package, part of the boot camp? I'm trying to keep these separated in my account, and I'm thinking that they're still all part of the pro package. Is that right? The TLT
No.
trade?
The call options are part of the SPY trades right now, just because the SPY is too dangerous to own.
Yep.
So
it would go in under the pro package, then, not the boot camp.
I have these in my SPY tab.
Okay.
So the basic package. The pro tab is over here on the TLT, which is doing, wow, TLT's up. So the pro portfolio, the bonds, 27% return. Jose says, Jason, gotta leave. Thank you for the trades. You're welcome. Okay, guys, again, I expect some volatility next week. Okay, I don't want to hear people screaming and yelling if we have some of our profits are pulled back, because I expect central banks don't want an absolute panic and a straight drop to the bottom. They're going to try everything they can to get investors back in stocks. So we're carefully tracking this. Key thing to watch is, again, this is the underlying root cause driving this market. Okay, this is growing exponentially. So I think the worst is yet to come. But what did we see this week, guys? We saw two of the biggest jumps in the stock market of all time in history. That put a little drawdown in our TLT position. Not a lot, but it did a little. So if you feel like you need profits to pay bills, I would sell one of the three calls. But we have a lot of time premium. So I do, in my portfolio, I'm holding. Manny says, why are you taking a GLD trade versus GDX? Why is GDX going down recently? Okay, so good question. We're living in a very momentum, super fast traded system right now, where money predicts where it will all flow to and tries to rush into that asset to beat the crowd. Okay, a lot of this is done by artificial intelligence. Okay, so like James Simon in California, they got 65 PhDs. They're making 30% a year for a better part of 3 decades. And so when you understand how those systems work, they're trying to rush into the hot asset and then get out once they see it slow down. And then they jump into the next asset. So dominoes are going to fall in this order. My expectation is that we're going to see the stock market kind of look like a staircase, where the stairs point up and then they tank down, and they point up and then they tank down. Okay, as long as the underlying root problem is not solved. So until this stops scaring people, remember, it takes 1% to 2% of the market to sell at once, and the central banks cannot stop that. That represents about $600 billion of sell orders at once. Okay, so we get a tank lower. All the people selling puts, big banks have to cover. When they're covering, we're seeing central banks come in, and everyone else who's a fool buy the dip. I think it's a great buy the dip environment. Okay, and then we get these record rallies. And then all the smart money is selling. And then we get these record drops. Okay, so this zigzag is causing the TLT to go higher and higher. It's forcing the Fed to do emergency rate cuts. And we're just getting started. We're just getting started with how bad it's going to get. So I think we do have a considerable amount of time. The catch is bond market is not a stock like Apple, and it's not a commodity like gold. Interest rates can only go so low. So there will be a top. So my expectation is a zigzag on the stock market that gets people awfully fooled. 1. 2, volatility in the bond market till it hits perfect pricing. 3, once we hit perfect pricing, everyone's going to realize there's no more upward momentum possible for the TLT. That'll be somewhere around when we hit the federal funds rate of 0, which could be very, very soon. After that, where does the money go next? Probably the first place is going to be into spot gold because the central banks are already starting to fire up the printing presses. Hong Kong just gave every citizen $10,000 to help stimulate their economy because everybody's stuck at home. They're negative GDP. So my expectation is rate cuts to 0, bond prices get to perfection. The Fed has to step in and buy up all the bonds because everyone's going to run for the exit, realizing there's no more appreciation to be gained. Let's pull up the TLT. And then they're going to look for what's the next big hit. So spot gold first, gold miners second. Now, spot gold GLD ETFs owned by a bank I don't trust, HSBC. So I prefer to do call options on GLD, but I don't mind holding GDX for long-term potential jump. So that's what's going on there. In terms of why is there a little bit of a pullback? Spice says, my question is about GDX versus GLD versus GDXJ. I'm not familiar with GDXJ, but yeah, just the basic thought process on gold versus gold miners. The longer gold stays elevated, the more money gold miners can make. So first gold goes up, central banks are buying it as they print. Then gold miners come chasing behind. So to keep our clientele safe, I just don't want to own GLD because we don't know if HSBC really has the gold to back up the ETF. So if we buy a call option, we risk the $400 on the call. If we buy the underlying, we're risking every penny in it. So GDX is representing American Canadian companies that mine gold, and much safer place to put your cash.
Spice, is that the juniors? Is that the GDX juniors? The pump and dump mining companies that you're referring to?
Okay,
yeah, no. So yeah, Jason, he's referring to the junior gold miners, and great question, Spice. But yeah, we wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Jay, if you want to explain what the junior gold miners do.
Yeah, junior gold miners are pump and dump penny stock scammers. So you don't want those. You want the people who can really get the loans from the banks, which is only a handful of companies, and actually go dig up the barbellic and sling it to the central bank. So there's like 5 companies that actually do that. They're the big positions in the GDX. Anwar says, I own Alibaba and Microsoft. They're down big time. Do you recommend selling or hold at the stage? Oh, it's such a tough question. So if you've been following our program, I had you out a long time ago and you're not in so much pain. My short-term prediction is that, here's what I would tell you. I expect that you may possibly have a bounce in the stock market like we saw early this week because the government does not want the public to freak out. Okay, nothing changes sentiment like price action. All right, so we could have coronavirus going full throttle. As long as your stock market's not crashing, people are like, oh, yeah, it's all right. Maybe it'll be okay. But you get stocks tanking, you get massive panics. So that's a very tough call. At some point, you're going to just have to say, all right, I need to follow the full system. And I need to realize there's periods of volatility and there's periods of gain. And so you know, if you jumped into our system and sold your stock today and then bought the TLT today, and then central banks try to intervene next week, you might be looking at me saying, oh my God, if I had not sold that stock today, I could have got an extra 10% early next week. So if you're to follow our program, we're going to put you in a complete system. Okay, so options. So that's a tough question, Anwar. In terms of trying to predict the short-term action on BABA and Microsoft. Long-term, I think there's a huge risk they crash at least 50% from here. Short-term, I would suspect you might have a better opportunity to get out.
You think I could hire you, Terry, as my financial stock investor?
So I don't manage money. I give you the info so you can do it yourself.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So if you followed our program, you'd have a bond position that was more than offsetting your stock position, and your put options would have saved your ass. So everybody likes to sell at the bottom and buy at the top. So that might be what you're looking at. But who knows? If we get a bunch of bad info about the virus, I mean, now kids are getting it in San Francisco at school. It's getting scary rapidly. So I don't know if you're going to get a bounce or not. All I can tell you, if you follow the full system, it's a very proven strategy to generate return over time. So yeah, I mean, you're really in a bad spot because volatility, if you try to buy puts today, it's super expensive. I'd say here's what I'd probably recommend, Anwar, is I would buy a put option under BABA and Microsoft that expired on Friday next week. And then hope to God that you get a big bounce up like we did this week and get out.
Okay.
That's what I would do, because I think you're going to get a bounce. And if I'm wrong, then at least you're protected. Okay. So you're not going to
sell a put or
buy a put. Buy one put for every 100 shares expiring next Friday, and look for an opportunity for a bounce next week. And if I'm wrong and there's no bounce, well, then at least you got your put option. You're going to lose much less than you would have.
All right.
And if we get a big bounce, you're going to lose the value of the put, but at least you get a better price on your underlying.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Absolutely, Anwar. And Anwar, I sent you my number in the message box. Okay. So certainly call me when you have a moment today. We'll go over, you know, just kind of more
Did
deeply
you send it by email, or how did you send it?
Oh, in the chat box.
Maybe text message him your number.
Yeah, I don't know his number, so
I sent it to you, Dino.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, Anwar, I will absolutely call you when I get an opportunity. Okay.
You guys have my number.
Okay, good. We'll get in touch with you, Anwar. We'll get you.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get you set up, bud.
I think
we'll spend some
Kathy
time one-on-one.
C's been wanting to talk for a little bit. How's it going, Kathy?
Hi.
How's it?
I think I put my hand up and then took it down, but it's going great. I freed up more money. So I'm using the buy and hold in some of my smaller accounts.
Okay.
And then
tell me you got some TLT in there now.
Oh man, yes.
All right. Kathy was well, she's had some kind of, she's got some background in technical analysis, and she could just tell it's just overbought. It's overbought. So she was waiting for a dip that never came, but I'm glad you got in.
Yeah, and so I every time I free up $750 in these small accounts, then I'm buying in and holding the cash to buy the SPY later. So those are looking really nice.
Good.
Awesome, Kathy.
Very good.
Thanks.
Yeah. And Jason, this is the biggest update I've ever seen on TLT, actually. I think it may be a record. Literally maybe an all-time record for update.
Oh yeah, rates are, so you guys got to realize where we're headed in bond market interest rates is extremely dangerous for the US government to continue being funded, because I'm calculating, I think this thing can go much higher than people expect. I'm currently thinking we can get between 175 top and 200. And I'll save it for Thursday. How you know where the top is, okay? So I'm not giving that away.
Yeah, Jason, this looks like the melt up. I mean, this is the melt up, but it's not over yet.
Yeah, so I'm expecting volatility next week, drawdown in our positions, central banks having to sell bonds, sell gold, buy equities, trick the massive public to buy the dip. We're going to see CNBC bragging about how stupid you were to sell again. And then, you know what happens next. And until the underlying problem is resolved, this is not going to change. So we got to stick to our guns here and not be tricked.
Yep.
Spy says sell underlying on any bounce. Overbought can last for an extended time.
So I think he's referring to just if you're holding stocks to sell on any bounce.
Yeah. So if I was holding stocks today and I wanted to enter Portfolio Builder's trading strategy, I would buy a put option underneath my asset that gave me time premium till next Friday and hope that we get a bounce. And then I would take a loss on my put and get out on my equity and then start following the program to the T. Because if this just continues to melt down,
well, and then
it could get much worse.
And then the caveat there too, Jay, is, what's your timeline on the underlying equities you own? If it's less than 6 months, guys, you probably want to cut bait. If you've been holding a position for, if you've been holding Apple for 10 years, yeah, you're not going to sell it here, right? And you don't need to. But yeah, if you put money to work within, I would say at least the last 6 months, absolutely get the hell out of Dodge before it keeps dropping. So yeah, so that's probably a good caveat. Look, if you've had the position for 10 years, hold it. But if not, get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, well, buy a put to protect you if you want to hold them.
Yeah,
Terry has
at least,
his hand
I guess, but
let's go ahead and unmute Terry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I've got an account, HSA account, and currently I have it in a Fidelity fund that is 30-year treasuries.
Yep.
Long term. What do you suggest I do with it?
Wait for whenever I say sell TLT, sell the treasuries. That's the same product.
Okay, and then go to cash, or what would you do?
When we sell that, we'll have to see what the best opportunity is. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
And we have plans, Terry. We just don't want to say it in the webinar, right? For the people that aren't paid clients. Yeah.
A lot of it depends on whether, I'd say it's too early to tell what the best decision will be.
Okay. So kind of it's going to run hand in hand with TLT. Is that basically what you're saying?
They're exactly the same thing. Yep.
Okay. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Awesome. Great question, Terry. Beautiful question. All right. Yeah, Spice, my pleasure, bud. All right, guys. Okay, looks like Mike just put his hand up. Hey, Ash, how's it going?
Oh, doing good. Okay.
Nice. How much?
Yeah, I had this question for Jason.
Please. Go ahead.
The question about you were saying to buy GLD call for April 9th at 158. Is it for today or is it too late now?
It's still good now. So here's your trade right here.
Okay, good. Thank you. And just to let you know that I did do the TLT and I think I'm up like others too. So that was a very good call, but I only did one contract.
Well, good for you, bud. Good job.
Nice, Ash.
And guys, I just want to stress, we're not trying to get rich overnight. We're going to be doing this together for decades to come. It's more important to not take big hits and be patient than it is to get all riled up that you missed out on some profits. So just be patient, be calm, be safe, be smart, don't take extra risk, and you're going to do very well over the course of time. Mike says, what was the put order you mentioned? Mike, I was just saying, so a lot of people are interested in following our program, but they have a bunch of equities that they took a huge hit on recently this year. And they're wondering, is this a good time to sell? And so I don't pretend to know what the market's going to do every hour. What I can do is figure out where's the overwhelming pressure going to force the market over time. And then I can understand what forces are going to try to manipulate that and prevent it from happening. So we're in an environment where the government and the central banks are trying to prevent a stock market crash because we're having a double whammy, a demand shock and a supply shock at the same time. And that's just something that rate cuts and quantitative easing doesn't solve. It doesn't solve the underlying root problem. So they're doing everything they possibly can to try to manipulate the market to give confidence to prevent an economic collapse. So it makes sense. If they weren't doing this, this market would be falling through. It would just be crashing straight down. So it makes sense. They're trying to do something to protect the economy. And that involves them essentially trying to disincentivize our exact strategy. So the central banks, they're going to, by design, try everything they can to scare people out of bonds, out of gold, which they hold. Funny enough, that's what they hold. And incentivize people to buy and hold stocks. Okay, but the problem is the root cause of this turmoil is a double whammy supply demand shock. And it's getting worse. It's not getting better. So if you're telling me I've got a stock position that I've lost a fortune on, should I sell it today? I would tell you I probably wouldn't do that myself. I would buy a put for protection through next Friday, and I would try to catch a bounce next week and then get out. And I would lose the money on my put if I'm lucky and get a little extra money on my underlying asset. Now, if this is end game, central banks are throwing in the hat and they're saying, let's just let it drop. We'll buy it up when it's down 50%. Well, then thank God you bought that put, because now you're not going to get absolutely killed next week. But in general, I tend to not like to sell at the bottom, and I tend to not like to buy at the top. So I would fully expect next week they're going to throw every last thing they have at the stock market to try to pump it back up and prevent this collapse from happening so rapidly. Now the catch is, if you get 2 to 3% of the total market share selling at the same time, that represents every 1% represents 300 billion in sell. There's not enough money to absorb that. So if you get enough horrific data coming out at the same time, all the money in China won't save the stock market. So from my perspective, stock market's very hard to predict in the short term right now. There's an underlying problem that has to be fixed. What I can predict is, in the grand scheme of things, this is going to force the central banks to change policy. That policy change is to lower rates. After they lower rates, they will go into QE. So that two fundamental analysis of what the central bank's moves are going to be makes me believe TLT will go dramatically higher. I expect drawdown next week. I don't want anybody to be fooled. I expect drawdown next week for stocks to have a little pop, if they can do it. If they can't, then we're just going to continue to see the return on investment climb next week. Okay, so first rate cuts, that artificially pushes bond yields lower and makes the bond price go up. So that's your TLT. Okay, how high could this go? TLT is not a stock and it's not a commodity. It's an interest rate play. Interest rates can only go so low. So the big question now is, will the US be willing to go into negative territory like the ECB and Japan? Maybe. This is a very different period of time. The last few crises we all lived through were related to a $300 billion misallocation of mortgages to minorities who couldn't pay their rent. For heaven's sakes, if that could cause a 50% crash when the market cap was around 15 trillion, what is a total collapse in demand and supply at a 32 trillion market cap's going to potentially do to market prices? So it's scary. It's a good time to have some cash, to play the bond market, to put some speculative call options out there, and be the hero who has money when no one else does, when the time comes. So I can't wait to buy stocks potentially at a huge bargain. Or let's say I'm wrong. Let's say this chart right here stops growing exponentially. The virus disappears, everybody goes back to work, and now we're in an environment where rates are low and they're starting to do some QE. Stocks are going to fly. I can't wait to buy stocks. Just not when I'm worried that there's a demand supply shock that's just getting started. So that's the bottom line there.
All right, guys. Let's see here. So everyone that's on a trial, you have a question, please jump in, ask it, okay? Hey, Mike, I see your microphone's unmuted. How can we help you, bud? Oh, okay.
I think Jason just did his question.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thanks, Ryan. I was looking at some other screens. Thanks, bud. Let's see here. Anna, Anwar, Ash, Bruce, Carlo, Dee Dee. Let's see here. Gary, George Lewis, James Robertson, Jason and SA, Jeff Stone, Jim Wills. Let's see here, guys. LA, Levy, and Manny, are you on a trial? I don't remember. I can't recall if I saw your name or not. Okay, let's see here. Anyone else? Hey, Marty, how did it go for you? How many contracts did you have of the TLT calls?
Of the TLT calls, let's see. I don't have a whole lot. I just doubled up the first ones that you bought, and then I bought what you recommended for my position. And then, so I have those, and I'm really glad to see you're not selling those until next week, because I learned from Tom Hugard some time ago, and it works about 95% of the time, that on a Friday, if the high cannot get over the Thursday high, then it's going to be a weekday and it'll be weaker than the Friday. So Monday should be a good down day for us.
All right, well.
And that's just a fun one to just kind of watch and play. It's really fun for me.
Cool.
Marnie's a great trader as well. I was learning a lot from her in the boot camp yesterday, so I'm glad you're part of our program, Marnie.
Well, he also came up with a 72-week top, and he was off by a week this time, but it was also coming into that 135 pattern, which I've used for a long time. So that was a big tell sign to me that we were going to have some kind of a top. I don't think it's the top for the year, honestly, but I do think we'll get to the 382 retracement of 2009 to the 2020 bull market. So, you know, that would be a nice little ways down. That would be down, what, 2350?
Wow.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at this point. I don't know, but I think you guys have just been spot on, just great.
So
awesome.
Just to be clear, guys, I use absolutely zero technical analysis. I'm completely a fundamental trader. So it's great to get technicians to confirm what we're seeing. And I have studied technical analysis. I do use it sometimes. Once I have a feeling for where the market's going to move because of fundamental causes, then all of a sudden technical analysis is very valuable. So it's great to have so many different minds in our program.
So yeah,
awesome.
You guys are just doing a fantastic job. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Marnie.
Oh, by the way, I was going to get an email from you, I thought, on that trade with the currency pair, and I never did receive that, on how to put it through on the interactive broker account.
Okay, Ryan.
I thought I sent that, but I'll double check for you for sure.
Okay, great, because I did not receive it. And I haven't been able to see the market in about 4 days because I had some fraud in my account and they've turned off all of my online access, which is killing me.
Oh no. That's not good.
Are you using your MSN email, Marnie?
Yes,
Okay, I'll shoot it over there.
thank you.
Yep.
Hey, this is Mark. I have a question for Marnie. So you're saying that you think the SPY is going to go down to 171, if I gathered what you said correctly?
The SPY, well,
I said 230. Was that?
yeah, I don't convert it, but yeah.
So
She's
yeah,
talking
you
about
said
US.
The 0.38
2009
retracement
low.
of the whole move would be at 2350.
Okay, so
Okay.
235 SPY.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, and then when we
Thank
get
you.
there, then we have to see where we're at and look at small patterns and see if we're really at the bottom or if that's just kind of, that's a big support though.
Sure. And you know, that's really along the lines of what Jason was seeing for total sell off too, Marnie, when we were speaking the
Yeah.
other day. So interesting.
Cool.
Cool.
And
right.
that's not far off from the December 2018 support level too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I use Fibonacci sometimes too.
Very cool, guys. All right. Any other questions, guys? And seriously, please feel free. Literally, Mark will take a question from the audience if you guys want to hear, or Marnie will. She's new. Literally, guys, jump in, ask them what they think about the service. You know what they're doing. Please feel free. A lot of people, when I do calls with people, they ask, "Oh, is there someone I could talk to?" Absolutely, guys. And I already have the approval for over 30 of our clients to literally put you in touch with them on one-on-one. So if you just want to ask them questions one-on-one too, but they are here live in the webinar if you want to ask them a question. Okay.
And just
Ash,
a heads up, Marnie, I put that link in the chat box and I sent to your email.
And I got it. And I got it. Thank you.
Awesome.
nice, Marnie. Okay, Ash, I see your hands up. How can we help you, bud?
I think is, oh yeah, he has to unmute his mic. Ash, you got to unmute your mic.
I did. Yeah, I was Jason, and I was trying to do a trade for this GLD for April 9th at 158. And I'm putting option as my starting point, and I get the total cost of the trade is 15,000. So my question is, am I buying the stock or I'm buying the option? Or is this okay to have 15,000 at the bottom?
How many contracts are you doing?
One contract.
So that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, I have 405 by 415 on my screen, Jay.
So it's going up a little bit on us. So we're up a little bit so far.
Yep. So each, let's see here. So if you bought one, yeah, that should be about 400 bucks. Yep. So each contract is currently 415 on the ask right now. So it's $415 per.
So what I had put in, I get the estimate value of 15,800. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. That's the reason I didn't push the button. So I'm buying options.
Call the broker, Ash, because you're up in Canada. You want to make sure that you're trading the US ETF GLD. Okay. But I would call the broker in that situation, certainly.
It sounds like he's accidentally buying the stock instead of the call.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing the coverage.
My internet connection seems to be not good.
Yeah, call the broker, Ash, and literally just forward over the trade alert to him and just tell him, look, this is the only order we want to execute. We don't want to do anything outside of this specific instruction. Okay. And they should show you how to get to it. But great question. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Okay, guys, let's see here. Jason, do you want to go ahead and flip over to our options page there? And let's go ahead and I posted it in the chat, but let's go ahead and post it in there just one more time, just so everyone has that that options page in there. Okay, and that way, guys, you can make your selection which product you want to start with us with. Okay, and if you have any questions at all, you know, before you make that decision, just give us a call. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Hey, thanks, Ryan. So guys, check in the chat box. You can see the options that are available to you. Okay. So just go in there and click on that. You can select, which package works for you. Look, if you have more, pretty much every person that we have in our system, guys, if they have over $250,000 invested in the markets, they're going with the pro. Okay. And really kind of anyone that's under 100,000 is choosing between the buy and hold option and also the SPY system currently, which is trading TLT calls and various different calls, as you can see. And the trade today was actually a GLD call that's running up nicely here. So let's see here. Vin Deasy said this has been very educational. Thanks. Now just needs money for the program. Okay, cool. Well, Vin Deasy, just reach out to us once you're ready. Okay, we'd love to help you. All right, guys. What other questions is there out there? Okay, and any more trials out there? Anyone else can talk about what they made and why? I know Manny jumped in here earlier. I think it was probably the most profitable trade he's ever had from the tone of his voice. He made $11,000 during his trial, so that was pretty cool. Yeah,
Is
Carla.
Manny a younger guy, I heard?
Yeah, I'd probably say 20s or 30s.
Way to go, Manny. You're following a old folk system, but those are the ones that work. Let me ask this, who has lost money? Yeah, Carla, we can get you set up with payment plan. Just call Dean. Who has a horror story of losing money from following a bad advisory? I'd love to hear any stories.
Oh man, if Chip's in here, he's your poster boy.
I followed Jason Bond and
Lord.
And Kyle and those guys and Jeff, I'm forgetting his last name. Anyway, that whole group, Raging Bull. Fortunately, I never put much behind it, but still, it was what I put behind it.
I know those guys personally.
Yeah, we fired him, Mark.
That's called front running. Gosh, I can't believe they're. Yeah, that's dangerous. So how much did you lose on those guys? LA wants to talk, Ryan, if you want to mute LA.
Yeah, well, I paid more than I lost, but basically almost doubled my loss because, what I paid was a loss. And then I think I paid them up to about 15,000 and I lost another 5 or
you paid them 15,000. Holy shit.
I don't think I paid them that much. I think maybe it was closer to 10.
With Timothy Sykes and all those jokers.
I haven't used him, but I've seen him. He sends me mail all the time.
He's a character. I stayed in his I stayed in his apartment. We represented him for a little bit. LA, let's go ahead and unmute LA. Yeah, let's do sometimes group therapy is as valuable as anything else. So tell us where you lost money. I'll tell you what I know about them and how they're scamming people. I know just about everybody in the business. There we go. Go ahead, LA.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, I followed also Tim Sykes and also Rob Booker.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't gotten any return yet. And I almost followed Jason Ban and all the crew with, I don't know what's their group right now. And I'm using also, who is this now? Gutierrez. But fortunately, I think I'm tuning until up to this time since I think 10:30 or 11 with you guys, and it's very exciting to hear everybody's taking advantage of this flu virus or something.
Yeah. So here's what Timothy Sykes does that drove me nuts. He would go find a illiquid penny stock, then he would buy it with his own money, then alert
thousands of people,
hundreds of thousands of people to buy it. And then, of course, guess what? It goes up, but everybody's rushing to buy it as fast as they can because they think they're going to get rich, become a penny stock millionaire. Oh boy. and that drives the price up. So if you are really, really fast, you get it, you could get in and sell it before he tells you to sell. Some people are making money with that. That's who he puts in his testimonials, by the way. So they know to get the trade the second it goes out and to sell it right after the alert's out because they're going to scalp it. Meanwhile, you come in late, the price is already going up fast. Okay, you buy it high, then all of a sudden he sells it out of the blue. You're not ready. Everybody's rushing to sell it as fast as they can. He gets the high price. Everybody else gets screwed. So he should go to jail for that. It's complete bullshit. And I can't believe that the SEC hasn't put him behind bars. It is illegal. It's shocking that he still gets away with it. So if you've lost money from Jason Bond or Timothy Sykes, don't feel like a fool. The odds were stacked against you, and it's criminal.
Yeah, I think Tim Sykes knows Rob Booker, and they talk to each other, and
they're a bunch of crooks.
And I think whoever followed Tim Sykes followed Rob Booker because they give a massive emails to people who they can, get money or.
Yeah, it's criminal.
I followed Rob Booker too, and what I found is that he's not necessarily wrong. He's just way too early, and so I've been very selective about the trades I take, and because of that, I've actually made a little bit of money with that. And then I've also followed Roger Scott. Again, Roger and Booker are friends, and again, I've been very selective about what trades of those I've followed, and I have made money with Roger Scott, but not taking everything he says.
Yeah, but
you're an advisor of an advisor.
I know.
William, go ahead. William unmuted his mic.
I followed Tasty Trade for 6 years, and I averaged probably anywhere from 80 to 150 trades a year. And I managed to only lose about $5,000 over 6 years.
Well, hey, at least they kept you busy, huh?
Well, yeah, I had
Good
lots of
entertainment.
trades.
I don't have any experience with those guys.
And they own the brokerage account, right? So you just
Right. They own the brokerage firm, Tasty Works. And
so their strategy is probably just not lose money, just rack up commissions.
Right. Yep. So, I mean, I did iron condors and just about every kind of
calendars, and spreads.
Just to caveat that, William, what are you up today?
I'm up 5,500 today.
Alrighty.
In one account, and then the other account is up 5,100. And I've got, my accounts are skewed because I've got all of my SPY in one account. There's two sets of SPY in one account. I moved them over. And then I've got TLT and EEM, GDX in another account. So it's not, the one account has 400 shares with TLT in it, and the other account has no shares of TLT. Just the calls.
Okay. Nice. Very nice.
So I guess I'm up 10,000 for the day for both accounts.
All right, I got a fun game for everybody on there. Find your chat box. Everybody, I want your guess. What's the SPY going to close at here in 2 hours? Just for fun. Post your bet. Are they going to bid it up at the market, or we're going to have Stanley Druckenmiller dump? Just for fun. I don't pretend to be able to guess the intraday moves. It's a random walk is one of my favorite books. Okay, Jason in San Antonio says 293. Who thinks we're gonna break 280, 290, go down to 289? Mike says 295. J 294 for William. Who thinks we're going to get a big bounce, go up to 301? That would be a confidence booster going into the weekend. Dump some bonds, buy some stocks, try to get everybody missing out. A little happy feeling for the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised. Dean says 292.50. Kathy C's going with 298. Come on, Ryan, throw in your bet.
I'm taking the Price is Right method. I'll say $1.
Don says 293. Nobody wants to bet 289, huh? What's my bet? I don't know. Who knows? Ron says 290. All right. Well, we're making some great money if we hit 290.
Ron, how much money did you make today? If you can unmute, Ron, let us know how much or how you did today.
Let's see. Donald, you out there, bud? You still holding those dividend stocks, or are you all out of that crap?
Hey, Donald. Oh, might have stepped away from his desk.
Yeah, so we had everybody for 2 hours.
Okay.
All right, guys. Last time for questions. If you got a question, if not, we'll see you on Monday, okay? But yeah, raise your hand if you have a last question here.
And then real quick, guys, I'm going to go ahead and post the option link in there one more time just because it got buried there. So if you're not on a trial, get signed up today, guys. Okay, just click that link that's in the chat box. Okay, that way you won't miss any of the further trade alerts that we put out. Okay, or our whole goal, guys, is to keep you safe. Okay.
All right, Tony says 289.50. If that happens, whew, Mark's going to be killing it.
Very nice, Tony. And Ron Brooks said he's up 4% for the day. Is that total portfolio, Ron?
Sounds like we need to take a trip out to Houston and go to dinner with Mark.
I'm in Dallas.
Oh, you're in Dallas. Yeah, well, as soon as the damn virus is gone, let's go see a Cowboys game.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Very nice. Okay, guys. All right. Any last questions at all? And just one more time, we did post that options link in the chat box. Click on it, guys. Choose your package. Tony said 4% today. Awesome, Tony. Love it. Tony, you have how much do you end up allocating? Do you start with 300,000 or $500,000? Hey, Tony, so did you start with 300,000 or did you start with $500,000? And never, okay, 300,000. Awesome. Yeah, 4% on 300 is not bad. Very cool. And Tony actually just fired an advisor that had 7 figures with. So congratulations on getting him fired, Tony. And I told Tony, Jason, when we, 7 years down the road, when we've officially made him $1 million, he's going to scale up probably to the 7-figure range. I told him we're going to have to fly out and shoot a live testimonial with him. And so sounds like we're going to have to do that with Mark pretty soon too.
Sooner than later, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, once this damn virus calms down, we can actually feel safe to fly. Awesome, Mark. Yeah, no, seriously, you guys, when we get you guys over $1 million, we're gonna fly directly to you and force you to do a video testimonial for us, okay? So just heads up on that.
More than happy to do it.
Awesome, Mark. Look forward to it, buddy.
And Mark, tell us about how we started off this relationship. Were you happy right out the gate?
No, I wasn't. You were losing money.
For how long?
And you were a little bit early on the coronavirus thing, and I was getting frustrated because, I mean, really, this market should have tanked on January 24th, and it didn't. And that was really frustrating because nothing but the international news was, all the international news was bad. And the market's still going up and up and up, and that was losing some money. And then, then it might jump around a little bit. And I was like, maybe that would have made more sense doing this or that. And and then, but you know, along the way, I made some money, and the losses made up for it pretty quick. You know, it
We
didn't take
almost
long.
lost you though, didn't we? We almost
I
lost
was
Mark.
a little frustrated, but I could see the long-term results, and I was thinking, you know, maybe this is little too boring for me. But then when I started going to the boot camp, that is when I said, oh man, I would pay this money just for the boot camp alone. I can't believe what I'm learning about the financial system. You hear these things here and there, and none of it makes sense. And then you explain it all so well. And just the education has taken my trading to a whole new level. And it's been well worth it.
Awesome, Mark.
So going into the weekend, boys, going into next week, we are sitting on some huge gains. We may see some of these gains pulled back. I don't want to hear people freaking out. Okay, so if you want to take some profits off today, I don't blame you. And I believe central banks, if they can, will do everything in their power to make our trade look stupid and try to get people to buy the stock market, because that's critical to keeping people from panicking right now. So that's my warning going into next week with the way we're positioned. But they just may not be able to control this market. So that's why we're holding tight. And if we see a massive crash at the close, sell one of those puppies, take some money off the table, especially if you doubled up like Mark did. No harm in that.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up, Ryan. This was a great webinar. Thank you, everybody. We can't wait to see you on Monday.
Yep. Thank you, team, for your time. Jason, phenomenal webinar once again, and doing a hell of a job, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it.